What is going on, everybody? Blazin here. Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for joining me on another Raid Shadow Legends video. All right, let's talk about everybody's favorite event in the game, Champion Training. Yeah, I know. We all love it. We've got the event for the Archer Queen here, right? I'm currently at 92,000. The guy behind me is at 16. Damn! Could I be worried about being sniped? Of course. You know, there's always that realm of possibility. There's always a whale out there that might just come in last minute, depending, and say, hey, you know, I could throw those points up if they have enough books or whatever it might be. But I've got a pretty good lead, right? And I can definitely build on it. Now let's talk about, you know, by the end of this video, I'm hoping that I can explain how I got to this point and what you guys can do to get to this for your next event. So let's get into it. All right, so with this, I want to actually show a specific example of how this was done. Now, yesterday, one of my mods on Twitch and YouTube, T-Bone, DM'd me and said, hey, I've been trying to catch up to this guy all day. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I need help, right? So when I got the account, you can see here, there's 2 hours and 2 days and 8 hours left. He's about 9,000 points behind. About an hour later, we've pretty much closed the gap, and we're right on his tail, right? Now we're after that. We've taken the lead. We're about 5,000 points ahead, right? 4,000 points ahead, whatever. And about 4 hours from that, we have now surpassed. We've taken a 15,000 point lead. And if you look on the global leaderboards right now, I believe he's in the top 100. It may have changed when I gave him back the account, but the second place person has not moved yet, right? Could they just be holding on what they have? Possibly, we don't know. But T-Bone's sitting at 107,000 points, right? So we've got a pretty comfortable lead. We've got about 50,000 points. And so what actually transpired for him to be able to get this done, right? He's kind of, at this point, I don't want to say almost guaranteed, knock on wood, you know, but he's in pretty good spot to get this champion. So what did I do to be able to set this account up? All right. Number one is actually organizing your account. How do you do that? Well, let's talk about your vault storage, which is the most and biggest thing you need to organize. You have your vault, your master vault, and your reserve vault. Your reserve vault, you need to, you know, kind of organize what is going to go in here over the long-term things, right? Obviously, we can't put champions that have gear in them. Plarium, fix this. Come on.
You naughty.
You're teasing me. There's a bunch of champions in the game now. We're building dupes. Sometimes we're building triples. Fix it. But what are we doing here, right? What have I done? Well, my reserve vault basically has all of my faction guardians, all of my dupes, right? Now we've got all of our legendary faction guardians, anything that's a dupe that we have here, along with for the epics and legendaries, right? As for the rares, it's basically anybody that I'm looking to build up over the time is going to come into this until I can actually build them and then promote them to the next stage. Now, I also put in whatever chickens I have ready to go, right? This is a long-term storage, so these guys are ready to be fed. So I know during a champion training event like this, I can pop all of my 4-stars out, throw some energy in him, get those quick, you know, 19 levels, burst that out, and be good. I also keep all of my food for my fusions, right? I brought my fusions, everything stays in here. That way I don't have to keep reorganizing every so often. All right, my Master Vault. Master Vault's basically got 90% of my champions in here. Anything that is built or that I'm actively using, right? Basically, almost a copy of everything in the game. You see here, we've got almost every single copy of a rare, or not rare, but legendary that we have on the account, along with anything that we have for epics. This account, I don't really hold on to rare faction guardians, so I don't fill up my slots with that, but I do have enough that it does, you know, fill up because of Centranos, because of some of the secret rooms. But that's what comes in here, right? And we have everything almost unlocked. I think I'm missing like 10 on this one. but everything that's being built or ready to be built for use comes here. That's epic or higher. And then what does that do? Well, that leaves my main vault storage open, right? Here I have all of my 50s that are getting ready to go into 6-star for this event, right? I'm able to maneuver all of those out of my reserve vault or my master vault and put them into this. That way I don't have to keep going back and forth and deciding who I'm going to level next. You come down, I've got about 100 right now, right? I had close to 200 this morning before I did my shard pull video. But you can see here, we opened up a bunch of void shards to get the food. And then we've got a decent amount of champions that are ready to give us that initial burst point. That's what stays here. I don't fill this up with every single champion I have. I want to keep this nice, clean, and neat. That is one of the biggest things that you need to do on your account to be able to prepare for an event like this. All right, let's talk about how we can utilize both our energy and our brews to maximize the return on investment, right? Now, I'm not a big fan of using brews to do a lot of this because it takes a lot of silver, right? I have a specific case used for my brews, and that's because I want to minimize the amount of silver I'm using over the long term, right? Because silver is a problem in this game. So I'm going to break down how I use my brews. Now, what I use my brews for is leveling a 1-star into a 2-star. So I take the 1-star champion, feed the 1 brew, put in the 3 other champions to feed them, give them the 1 champion, and boom, right there, that's done, right? I don't have to spend, 3 runs for them to get to, or 2 runs in Nightmare campaign, or 3 runs in Brutal campaign to get that, right? The silver cost for this is a lot easier. That way I can spend the 8 energy it's going to take to get the 2-star from 1-star to 3, from 1-star, from level 1. Wow. I really need to get less coffee in my system. But I can spend the 8 energy it takes to get from a 1-star, from a level 1 to a level 10, right? I want to maximize my energy to give me as much burst points as possible. So that's ideally how you want to use your brews. Now, you can also use them at the end. And what I mean at the end is the best place you're going to use them is if you have a 6-star, right? Like, let's say we have this Kirkarth. If you need to boost yourself and give some extra points, you come in, you give 10 brews onto a 6-star, right? And it gives you 232 points. You do that with 10 champions, that's 2,000 points. Boom, nice and easy. Don't give them more than 10. Don't bring them above level 30. Honestly, even level 30 is kind of a lot, but it's, you know, the nice balance you can see here. You're not going too far in and wasting your XP, right? But that can definitely help you. Don't feed all the brews in, because if you were trying to feed all the brews in, you're looking at like 108 brews. It's not worth it. Use the 30 and up when you're farming your minnow. Now, those are the only 2 ways I would use my brews. And you can see here, I don't have a lot. I don't sit on a lot of brews. I'm pretty much actively using this during the normal champion trainings to get as many of those 3 and 4 stars as possible. All right, where do we use our energy? Well, energy, the best place to come in is going to be campaign, right? For an event like this. We come in, we farm either 12-6 Brutal or 12-6 Nightmare. Now, caveat, if you don't have a 12-6 Nightmare that can farm in about 15 to 20 seconds at max, right? Even 20 seconds is tough. But if you can't get it down to below 15 seconds, my ethos can do it in about 8-9 seconds. It's not worth it. Stick to Brutal 12-6 because you'll get a 5-6 second campaign farmer with a Bellower or a Fellhound, and it'll be easier for you, right? Also, farming 12-6 Brutal is better for your account because you're going to get more runs, which means more chances of getting some of these champions, right? Which means less food that you have to open up from shards. And it also means that you're going to be able to get those mystery shards to replenish the food. If you do Nightmare, the mystery shards are removed, right? And you don't get mystery shards, you just get some gear, which you're really not going to use a lot of gear in here. And then you're having the amount of runs that you would have to do. So it's not always the best one. Now, I will tell you later on how you go about actually farming each one of these. All right, so let's talk about what you need to be organized to have your champions placed in, right? Obviously, if you're using RSL Helper, what do? Let's bring up our RSL Helper here real quick, right? I have my RSL Helper opened up here. I've got everything sorted out by rank and by order, descending, ascending. Usually, during an event like this, I'm trying to work with my 2 stars to 3 stars to 4 stars, and then I save everything for a nice big boost at the end. Now, coming into the limit level, right? This is actually kind of a little trick here. You'll see if you come in, this is going to give you how many champions you have that are 2 stars, right? But it's also counting how many are already at level 11. A 2 star, I level to level 10, 3 star to 15, 4 star to 19, 5 star to 25. And during an event like this, I usually only level my 3 star or 6 stars up to 20, unless I need to burst up some brews, right? But if you click use level limit, it actually takes anything that is above level 10 out of the equation. Makes it a lot easier for you to sift through and kind of figure out what you need to have. So you're going to see here, I have selected, right? I'm going to use auto select because I know that everything it's going to pick here is either going to be it's going to be a 1 star, right? So I'm going to have it auto select 33 champions for 2 stars and 99 champions for 3 stars. And it's going to give them to level 10 and 15. That's the first step that you want to do for your champion training, right? So go in, give that quick initial burst of points, because once you do this multiple times, you're going to start seeing that your 4 stars are going to start racking up, and then you're going to get a big boost in those points that way, right? That's how you start increasing the gap between you and your opponent. So you go ahead, you run all of this, right? And then this is kind of the setup that you're going to have to do. Now, let's go in game and let me show you guys a little more in depth of what we're doing. So we've opened up, we have all of these champions that are currently level 1, right? So these would be all the champions that I would level up to 16, or sorry, up to a level 10, right? The optimizer, because I have the raid card here, will actually, not the optimizer, but the raid tool will open it up and use them to level 11 because you get the extra points, which is fine, whatever. But then what happens is everything that comes in afterwards. So now I'm going to go ahead and let's say I open up 100 mystery shards or 80 mystery shards, whatever food I make from that, that's a 2 star. I'm going to go back and I'm going to level that to level 20. That way I'm not going back and forth deciding who I'm going to level. And I'm going to do the same thing with my 3 stars, right? So these guys all over here are going to get level 16, right? All of my 4 stars are going to get level 19. And then what's going to happen is same thing. The 2 stars that I'm making from my uncommon champions are going to become my level 20s. My 2 stars or 3 stars that I'm getting from these guys that are leveled up are going to become my level 30s. And then my 4 stars or my 3 stars that are level 30 that are going to become level 40 or 4 stars are going to be the ones that I bring up to 20. I will not bring any of those past level 20 on the 4 stars. We're going to be a little more efficient than that. And I'm going to explain to you guys why you don't want to be leveling from 1 to 40 during these events. All right. And that's pretty much it. You're going to rinse and repeat that the whole time and just doing everything in bulk. 30, 40 champions at a time. And you're going to see those numbers stack up pretty quickly, right? That's probably the best way that you can go about trying to widen the gap and get as many points as you possibly can for your champion training. All right, now let's talk about stuff that you need to do prior to preparing for this, right? Stuff that you need to have in order. Now, the biggest thing is making sure that you do not level champions from 1 to 40 during an event like this. That is going to suck up your energy, right? You're going to waste too much energy trying to get them from the 20 to the 40 or the 25 to the 50, and it's not worth it. That is the time that when you're doing your farming for your solo builds with your dungeon farmers, that's when you should be doing that. You should be doing that outside of these, right? How do you go about doing that? Well, you could do a couple of things, right? You could use your guardian ring. You could unlock the first level in each one, and you can put your champions in there, put your 4 stars to get each one done. You could probably get about 1 done in each one throughout the week. So that's about 5 champions you can get, right? Plarium, make this auto so I don't have to come in and click it. Just click it 1 time and switch the champion out when it's time to get the feedback. This crap of me having to come back in and check, get rid of that. It's too much.
Are you serious?
How else do we do it? Well, we do it by, if we're farming Sand Devils, Necropolis, right? We want to actually come in and we want to not put the 1 star or 3 stars or the 1 to, the 4 stars that have no levels in them. We want to actually put the ones that have some levels in them, and we finish leveling those up, right? So when we come in here, when we have our solo champions or our duo champions, we want to actually put the ones that are going to be, like this one right here, right? We would put in, why isn't this clicking off? There we go. We would put in our Cardinal, right? That's when you ideally want to put those champions in to be leveled, because you're getting a return on investment on the points, trying to get some energy put into those champions along with getting resources back, right? Or when you're farming your teams like Dragon, right? I do stage 8 where I can put in some food, and guess what? He got 40, she got 40 during the event. That's it, right? I'm not wasting the energy to make them from 40 or from 20 to 40 during an event like this. It's too much energy. It's not worth it. All right, let's say now that you're kind of in a predicament and you've burned through all your food because you're doing so much champion training. When should you actually be, if you have to level a champion from 20 to 40 or from, 25 to 50, when should you do it? It's not going to be the time that you're awake, that you're at your PC. It's going to be that time when you're out sleeping, right? Because those runs are going to take forever, right? It's going to take a lot more. I think it's like 30 or 40% more runs to close that level than it is to initially get that burst. So if I'm coming in for my champion training, I am not going to run my Nightmare Campaign Farmer during the day. I'm going to run my Brutal Campaign Farmer, right? Get those levels and go for it. At night, if I have a good enough Campaign Farmer for Nightmare, then I'll run it. If not, that's fine. Run your normal, and that's it. Or Brutal, sorry, right? But if you have to level champions from 20 and on, or from 25 and on, that's when you do it, because those will take time. All right, so the last thing I just want to leave off is, guys, make sure that you don't leave yourself in a bad spot with shards. Yesterday, when I took over T-Bone's account, he had about 300 mystery shards. By the time I gave him the account back, he was built back up to like 1,500. But the mystery shards are going to help. But if you're farming Brutal Campaign, it's going to deplete those because you will not get back, right? You will not get mystery shards back. But make sure you also check in the market, right? You can see here, I bought a couple of the mystery shards like clockwork, right? And then I also buy the 2-star champions out of here. It actually comes in very clutch, right? Just trying to build those up over time. It really it gives me that extra little bit of boost, right? Having to waste less time on resources. I really hope that this video helped. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, leave a comment down below. I do try to get back to everybody as quickly as possible. I am only human. If I don't respond here on the YouTube page, feel free to reach out in Discord, and I will definitely reach out there, right? I'm very active on Discord. I respond to almost everything instantaneously. If you guys enjoyed this video, smash that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you again for everybody for joining me on this video. Make sure to join us on Sundays for the Knights of Teleria, where you get myself, JR Star 3, Nacho Plays 50, Yesto Gaming, Jarrett Gaming, along with Final Compachi, where we talk everything Raid Shadow Legends. Talk about the good, the bad, definitely talk about a lot of ugly stuff that's going on. And it's a fun time, It's a podcast for the community where we have free to play, pay to win, whales, early game, mid game. We have every perspective that serves the community. As always, guys, much love, much appreciation. Be safe, be well, be good to each other. I'll catch you guys next time.